So over the past few weeks, there have been more and more people realizing that the NBA has a media problem. And this really stems from a video made by King in the fourth quarter when he went on a 20-minute rant criticizing the NBA media. And I am here to give my 2 cents on it because I completely agree with him. The league has been struggling this year. That's not an unknown. Ratings are down by over a quarter. And yes, they have kind of healed itself with the Luka Dallas, but not really. And you have your entire media network, which is huge compared to other sports leagues. The amount of analysts, the amount of people, former players you have going on TV and talking is huge compared to it. And all they do is shit on not former players, shit on current players and also most of them are just former players. They just go and shit on these current players. And with all of the problems the NBA has, which is a lot, the one thing that has always remained constant and great about the game is the players. You have, it's a 10 on 10, it's a 5-on-5 game. You have 10 players on the court at a single time. It's a low amount compared to other sports. You don't wear helmets, you don't wear masks, you don't wear anything. Their faces, their emotions being showed. They're also put in front of a camera a lot, put on a microphone. So they have become huge personalities. So, and that is just one of the best parts about the game. That's one of the best parts about basketball and very much the NBA. They're really good at showing players faces, making players lovable. That's the best part about basketball. There's so much wrong with the structure of the league, but that's the one thing that's remained great. But you have your media outlets, the guys who go on First Take, NBA on TNT, podcasters, you're put on social media all the time for people to see. All they seem to do is just go at these current players. I saw a thing like 2 days ago of a guy saying Jason Tatum has the worst contract in the NBA. Like, what are we talking about? Jason Tatum is probably the biggest case study for this because he has become the most overrated or overhated player maybe in the entire sports history. He's 26, a perennial All-NBA player, and just was the best player on a championship team. Yet all people can do is call him soft, make fun of him, and all of this shit. That's not what we're supposed to be doing here, especially when you're given a platform paid by these, especially the ones paid by these broadcasting networks. If you have a podcast, you are free to put out whatever you want. Now, obviously, these guys are also free to say whatever you want, freedom of speech, But it shouldn't be the commonality of just shitting on players. So maybe we'll ignore these podcasters because a guy like Paul Pierce going on his podcast and just shitting on NBA players, just, old head syndrome. And it's not just Paul Pierce, it's a lot of guys. Is whatever. How are you going to stop that? But the NBA can influence their own media. Like NBA on TNT obviously is great and nobody wanted to see it go, and it's probably going to come back in some way, shape, or form on NBC or ESPN. But you can't have Shaq going and basically having feuds with players because he doesn't like them. Like the Rudy Gobert thing was funny, but at the same time, it's just not a good thing to have. You can't just have one of your analysts going and berating one of your all-star caliber players. Rudy Gobert is going to end up having a Hall of Fame case. You might as well get into the Hall of Fame, and you have one of your analysts just go in a feud with him because he won't shut up about him. That can't be happening. It's the only thing you may be like, you can give them a pass just because of how entertaining this show is. And it is a halftime show. It's not like anything where their jobs are really, well, yes, this actually is their job, is to talk about the game legitimately, but not like a First Take type of job, if you know what I mean. So maybe Shaq, Charles, Kenny, and Ernie get a pass for this, but they shouldn't, just because of the bigger issue. And it's not all four of them. It's really mainly just Shaq, and Charles, he does sometimes too. Like they had that time where Anthony Davis had to be wheelchaired out because of a head injury, and they were laughing at him. And I think that was a universal. People were mad at them, So again, that's probably just a separate issue, and that's all of this could also just be changing at the end of this year. I assume they'll end up sticking back together and getting a contract with another network. They can be changing, but really the problem was First Take, because First Take is when you because they take a bunch of guys after Kellerman left. That is now Stephen A. Smith, and it's a bunch of guys. And specifically, let's go specifically to Kendrick Perkins. He's awful. He's just an awful analyst. He's just bad in every sense. Why is the guy who's averaging 5 points being one of these guys? Now 5 points is probably high. What do you average? He had more rebounds than points. It's kind of just all there is to say. He's one of those guys. Who else? There's so many. And there's just way too many of them. There's way too many people shitting on the current players and not talking about the real problems. And that's it's at this point I feel like it's normalized. Shitting on some of these players is normalized, and it's bad. Oh, Wally Zerbiak, that's a great one. Yeah, I know it's a very separated incident, and it's not him shitting on all players. It's just him shitting on Tyrese Halliburton earlier last year. That was pretty funny, because was just funny because Tyrese Halliburton was an all-star and then beat the Knicks in the playoffs. That's what made it funny. It's a big issue, and it's not everybody, by the way. It's not everybody. Kevin Garnett, one of the biggest, if not the biggest praiser of the current generation. Larry Bird went up when he accepted his lifetime achievement award or something a couple years ago, did nothing but praise the modern game. So it's definitely not everybody, but it's still an issue. And I'm hoping especially with NBA going to NBC, that a lot of this changes, because I feel like First Take and all these ESPN shows are just slowly fading because they're just slowly becoming more and more unwatchable. And I also just feel like I see them less on my feed, which is a good thing because they all suck besides Pardon the Interruption or something. Just all of them suck. So hopefully with ESPN shows fading and then maybe with NBA and NBC changes, I'm hoping. This is separate, but with NBC getting the NBA back, it's the best thing that's happened to basketball in a very, very long time, because that was peak. Me personally, I'm not old enough to remember watching NBA on NBC. Hell no, not even close. I don't even think I was born when they lost the contract. I don't even know. But just everything, you see the classics. I'm trying to explain it from a person who hasn't watched it. But this theme song just feels like that theme song has got to come back, right? It has to. I don't think they sold the rights on it. But yeah, this is just kind of just a long rant on NBA media as a whole. So thank you all for watching. Join the Discord in the description below. See ya.